Welcome to the pod, where we talk about
our thoughts, stories, and opinions, but do it all
respectfully, of course.
All right, this week we are going to dive into some of our stories from our North Carolina trip.
Trip of a lifetime. It was a
really
lovely time.
It was a blast. It was overall, I wouldn't change anything about that trip.
I feel like that trip was both like the most peaceful time, but at the same time, like from the 3 days really we spent there was just the most like chaotic. Like so many stories came from it, and that was really like so great for us.
It really was, and I'm so glad because leading up to the trip we were both in like the weirdest funk where we were like, why are we even going? Like,
we weren't even like excited for it at that point.
It was just, it was a weird time, and then we got there and we're instantly like,
this is it.
This is right. Mm-hmm. But yeah, let's talk about
let's dive into some of those good stories.
All right, the first one we're going to talk about is our attempt to go visit the cute pier. And I actually said that so well because the entire trip, like where we were at, there was a pier on this side and a pier on this side. And the word just came up quite frequently and literally could not say the word for the life of me.
Lauren was like incapable of saying it properly.
Incapable.
So every time pier became
pure.
The pure.
The pure. I'm like, what on earth? Like, why am I saying it that way?
Yeah, it's like the fjords from Frozen.
Yes, exactly. So our first morning there, we're like, let's just go on a little walk, on the beach and go walk down there, take some pictures. We'll maybe set up camp there.
Because where we were, it's like both were visible. And we're like, they look so cute. Like, I love the look of them. We're like, let's just do a short little walk. We had no perception of distance.
No perception. So. And so we start out, and of course we're like carrying our bags, and we've got our water.
At this point, we're still on the beach.
We're on the beach, and if you've been on a beach, you know that walking on a beach is one of the most humbling things you will ever do. Because I feel like the beach walks get so romanticized, and it's like, no. You look like you're struggling to walk.
You're like tripping because the sand is like falling from under you.
And then you're getting like hot and sweaty and just, anyway, it's not, so we are doing that for probably 15 minutes. And we're like, man, I feel like we should be near reach of it.
I'm like, I don't feel like it's any closer than it was 15 minutes ago.
And we make the executive decision because we're like, I cannot walk on this beach a second longer. Yeah. Let's just cut out. We'll walk on the sidewalk, or so we thought. And we'll find another entrance point and, duck back in when we get to the pier. And so we go down the road, and I don't know that North Carolina believes in sidewalks because there's no sidewalks, or if they have them, they're like single person.
Which is funny because it's like when we chose where to stay in North Carolina, I was like, this location is perfect because we can walk to the beach, we can walk to the restaurants, we can walk to like the boardwalk, like all these different places. Yeah. And I was like thinking of it as a little walkable city. It is. There's just like, you never know when you'll get a sidewalk or when you'll be on the side of the road.
And this time we didn't have a sidewalk, but it was mostly in a residential area. So it was like, it wasn't hazardous.
Why not have a sidewalk in a residential area?
That is really good point though. That is a good point. So anyway, we're walking on the road for a while, and we're also in jean shorts. Girls,
if you know.
If you know, you know. Jean shorts, that's not good walking conditions.
I love my Birks, but walking in them for a long time, like we obviously had to put shoes on when we're walking on the road versus the beach. Walking in those shoes, the combination of the shoes and the jean shorts, and then it was a hot day, so we had to put tops on, obviously, over our swimsuits. So we were just like
baking
misery.
And so we keep walking a ways. We're like, surely we're gonna like go in we're gonna walk on the little boardwalk thing, and there's gonna be the pier. And so
I'm pretty sure I literally said, but Lauren, what if we passed it? Like, let's just check. I literally said, let's just check to make sure we didn't pass it.
So we walk on back out, and I kid you not, it was like the weirdest hallucinating feeling that we were it's been probably 30 minutes by this point. We are dehydrated, we're hot. We get there, and we're staring out, and we look this way, and we look this way, and there is no pier.
It's gone.
Found.
It was literally gone.
Like, is it a mirage? Like, what?
We both just looked at each other and we were like, are we okay?
Like, what? Like, our hotel smelled a little bit of weed, I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, did we absorb it?
No. Oh my.
But no, so we were like, okay, so we walk out a little further, and then it like appeared from out behind a building. And we're like, oh my gosh, there it is. But yeah, it was
still so far.
Still barely closer. And we're like, how far? So anyway, we go back to the road. We keep walking. After 50 minutes, not 15, after 50 minutes, we finally make it to the pier. And the funniest part of it was it had like their catchphrase of the pier was like, you should have gotten here yesterday. And we really should have with how far we've been walking. So anyway, we're like, amazing, we made it. Let's go check it out. So we also didn't know where we were. We're like, how far away was that out of curiosity?
A whole different city.
We changed towns.
Yeah.
We changed towns, if you're wondering. Anyway, so we walk out to the pier, and we were gravely mistaken of what we thought it was.
It was the biggest letdown. That was just the most, like...
It was this massive pier just filled with a bunch of...
Grungy
fishermen.
I felt unsafe.
People were smoking, like... They were looking at, because we were like, well, I mean, we're here, we might as well at least like walk it and like take a couple pictures.
So we like walked down to the end,
and we felt so judged. Like you just knew that they were like, they didn't mean to be like, this was a mistake, like on their end.
They don't know what they're doing. They clearly did not mean to end up here.
Yeah.
As we're trying to like, well, we walked all of this time, we suffered, so we might as well get some cute pier pictures. Mm-hmm. And then they're like, looking, these girls are trying to get like their Insta pics on a fishing pier.
It was also so windy up there.
Oh my gosh,
you're so high up.
I
forgot how I like didn't realize how high we would be up. So we're up there and the wind is blowing. Let's just say the photos didn't come out, but we tried.
So we decided to go under the pier.
So we went under the pier, did some stuff there, and then we're like, let's just...
Side note though, the pier had like a little like gift shop area where you could also buy fishing supplies.
Yes.
We did find a really cute like blanket that we used to like sit on at the beach.
And that came in clutch the entire trip.
Clutch.
It really was. So after that, we're like, well, we need a break. You know, this was exhausting. We'll lay out here for a few hours. So we had a nice time relaxing, and then we're like, well, it is time to make the trek back.
It was pretty late, and at that point, it's like
the peak heat of the afternoon.
Definitely needed lunch because we hadn't eaten anything.
So we start, so this time we're like, what if? Because we didn't love this. We're like, what if we walk down kind of in the water where the sand is a little more firm? The water will cool us.
We couldn't bear the thought of putting clothes back on our bodies to walk on the road. So
we keep on going. During that time, we realized that there were jellyfish washing upon the shore, so we had to then be careful where we stepped. And again, this was the definition of the post-beach walk.
Oh, yeah.
The post-beach walk is, again, another really, like...
If you know, you know.
Ego-checking moment, you know?
And I will also say, although the hard sand was much better to walk on, and of the three options, maybe it was our best, because it's on a slant, and you're walking in the same direction the whole time, the way my hips were so wrecked from that, you're walking uneven the whole time, I, was in pain after that.
And so we make it, halfway, and we were like, we are famished. We need to
I felt like we, washed
we need to get into AC. We need a little break. So we found a place, and we go inside, first of all, being like, we are in no position to be here. No. Plus, we did have to put our shorts, everything back on. And it was, so anyway, we get in there literally looking like we just washed ashore from a shipwreck. I'm not even kidding you. And they're like, yeah, let's get you seated. They seat us down, and the waitress comes in and is just jogging to get us water, and is like, you are not leaving here without water. Somebody just passed out there. It's so hot.
She was literally the nicest waitress ever. I loved her. But she was like, well, let's get your order in so we can get you food as soon as possible. And she was like, I'll make sure I get you guys refills every time you need it, and insisted to be left with waters to go. She was so sweet. I love her.
And so anyway, we finished up. We were refueled, and we finished the journey back, and we got back, and I was fried. I was so burnt. It was wow, it's day one.
I could have warned you, but I also know you get as red as a tomato when you're hot.
I know.
So I didn't know.
Because we were reapplying, and I don't know.
We thought we were doing a good job at sunscreening, but clearly not.
Anyway, that was our pier story.
So that's the pier walk. All right, so our next story is our tandem biking story.
This is quite the story. It was such a great idea. It was this cute little storybook. We were eating dinner one night, and I looked across the street because we had talked about possibly going on a bike ride, and I'm like, Kayla, look behind you. They have tandem bikes. Why wouldn't we?
And here's the thing is, one, I don't know why, but tandem biking has always been on my bucket list, because who wouldn't want to go tandem biking? How cute is that? It's and also where do you have access to tandem bikes? So I was like, we're on vacation. let's go
Yeah.
tandem biking. Like, let's seize the opportunity as it has presented itself. So we did. I called the rental place, did all the paperwork, got it all figured out. We get to the rental place and get on the bike.
Mm-hmm. First of all, he's like, oh, do you guys like want helmets or knee pads? And we're like, we're good.
We're good.
Like, we're fine. We got a red bike. Like, we'll be fine.
That's the false confidence we did not need at the time.
No.
So we got on the bike and he's like, all right, give it a test run. We almost crashed into a pole.
We quite literally like caught ourselves with a pole.
Yeah.
I was like, Kayla, you go in the front, I'll go in the back. And when you're in the back, you don't steer. You're holding down the fork.
And
you know?
Honestly, after that experience, I still don't know whether the front or the back is worse. Because we did try switching really briefly and we're like, nope, we're back to the start.
And when I say that the tandem biking almost broke our friendship, like I'm not exaggerating. And it was really a true test to the strength that we have.
For sure, because we went through a few different stages.
Yes. And Kayla says, like, what's your joke about your future, like, fiance?
Oh, I'm not going to agree to marry anyone until we've gone tandem biking together. Oh my god, spooky. No, but I'm not going to agree to marry anyone until I know that we can successfully complete a tandem biking session together. Because the way that brought out all of the flaws, all of the miscommunication in our relationship, and we had to work through that, was crazy. Yeah. So and the guy let us go knowing we fully
he's like, it's your first try. You're fine. And like, then that's not a big deal.
We tried a second time. He's like, oh yeah, you guys will be good.
He's like, go ahead. So
he should not have let us go.
We start off and we turned the corner and we were passing our favorite coffee, the Malama Cafe.
Oh,
love it. It was just, but it's again the narrow sidewalks. Then they have seating outside in front of it. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like we're literally about to pass our coffee shop. Yeah. And there's people there. So we are going by just noticeably. We're speaking like intensely at each other. And there's this lady walking by and she's like, come on girls, keep going, just keep pedaling, you can do it. Literally holds on and to the back of my seat and pushes us forward. It's like, oh.
And then after she pushes us forward, she just goes, those girls are gonna kill someone.
And that's literally setting the tone. Like, you just know.
Also, can I just say, being in the front is, both are hard in their own way. It's so humbling because I feel like I have arm strength, but I literally was quivering, holding the handles the whole time, and it was just going back and forth, and I'm like, I look so out of control.
The struggle is the front is that you're trying to steer it and you're trying to control it, but the struggle of the back is you are the one keeping the balance, and even if you literally move your toe,
I could feel if Lauren blinked. I was like, Lauren, you're shifting the weight.
I barely moved. It was so difficult. And so we had been going for like 10 minutes maybe. And Kayla...
No, I literally was like,
we're done.
I'm like, we're walking this bike back to the shop and asking that man if we can get regular bikes. I was like, Lauren, I cannot do this anymore.
And I would not have it. I was like, no, Kayla. We said we were going to do this. And I had a motivational pep talk, which I know in the time she was annoyed with me. But then 30 minutes later, she was like, yes, that was...
Yeah, it was so needed. And honestly, can I just say, once we got the hang of tandem biking, oh my gosh, it was such a vibe.
It was such a vibe. We blasted our music.
I even got comfortable enough to like take a little picture or video from the front. Yeah. We were just vibing. And it was a time.
And so we're like, let's go bike the path to the pier just to see how quickly it could have gone for us. And it was much faster. I will say, again, like I said, it was a great time after we got the hang of it. But there is one thing about tandem biking that I never need to do it again, and that was for the physical agony that I was in.
Yes.
And that was being the bike seat. Like, this is the front of the seat. It literally was like slanted. And I'm just gonna say, it was a bit discomforting.
It didn't feel good.
It didn't feel good, okay? Yeah. And I literally had to take multiple breaks. So, like, Kayla, I need a break.
And
like,
we were torn because
pain.
You rent the bikes for the day. You can't rent them by hour. So I'm like, Lauren, we need to get the most of our money by biking for a very long time. But at the same time, we just hit a point where we had to be done.
We did. But yeah, it was a good time overall.
It was fun. Now I can say that I've been tandem biking. Yeah. And we also, like, it was cute. We were vibing. And also, other people probably drove past us and went, look at those cute girls.
Look at tandem biking.
Wish it could be them.
Life.
Could be us. Yeah. So, Love that for us.
Anyway, I'd give it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
So another interesting thing that happened on our trip was one day we were out walking, and this was like in the peak time of the Summer I Turned Pretty. It was like after it had come out, everybody was in their Summer I Turned Pretty era, and we're just walking, and all of a sudden Kayla was like, the fat pelican? Like, why is that so familiar?
And then it hit me, and I was like, Lauren, I am 99% sure that the Fat Pelican, that bar right there, is the bar from the Summer I Turned Pretty. I'm like, it looks so familiar. Like, I know that place.
Yeah. Like, if you need a little refresher, that's where Laurel and
Savannah.
Savannah? Really?
Yeah?
Susanna?
Wait, I feel like we also have made that mistake before.
No, it was I said Lorelai instead of Laurel.
What is happening with your lights?
They were fully plugged in.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Laurel and Susanna, they had a little moment out there on the bench in front of it. And anyway, it was a cute moment. So we were like, we Googled it, we confirmed it was that, and we were like, we just have to go. Like, to just...
What a waste to not.
Like, we just have to try it out. And so we went to it the first night, and it was like, it was so different than what we were expecting.
It's so hard to explain the vibe.
I don't know how... It's like there's an inside section, there's an outside section. First of all, it should not be set up the way it is, because the way that the floor is so uneven, and I'm like, I just feel like with the state that some people could be in, like, you're literally gonna you're tripping without drinking anything.
Yeah, and it was also just such a like out of pocket and like janky. Like everywhere you look, nothing made sense.
No, it was like set up almost like a junkyard, and I know this sounds so crazy, but like it was cool.
It was a cool junkyard, and honestly, it wasn't our vibe, but we vibed with it.
Yeah, I know, but like we walked in so confused, and the guy was like, so you look like you've not been here before.
Yeah, he said something like first time or something like that.
Correct
like,
there.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we were just chilling out in the outdoor area of it, and all of a sudden we look over, and I'm like, that is indeed a toddler just roaming around a bar.
Give us the time frame.
At like 9:30 p.m. And I'm like, that just seems illegal. So that was just a bit questionable. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, it was a fun time though. We did go back a second time as well.
Did.
And we literally went to a gas station and bought a single Sharpie to go right on the, like, to sign our names
because
and, like, leave our mark.
The thing of the Pelican is, like, everybody, like, writes stuff just everywhere. There are some wild things.
There's some wild things. Wild things. Like, you'll just sit in one spot and then just look around, and it's a little scavenger hunt of, oh, look what I found.
Yeah, we signed our names as our old lady names.
Yeah.
So we had Kay, Lori, and we also signed in honor of our dear friend Taylor, who goes by Judy.
Yes. So that was a great time. Yeah. Another really funny, like, short story we have is in the little, we stayed in the Dry Dock Inn, and I feel like that should give you enough. It's
cute. A remodeled motel.
Yeah, it was cute and sketch. So
like, it was kind of like, it gave me like bougie prison.
Yeah, okay.
So bad.
Yeah,
but the inside of it was like the cement like brick.
Yeah.
And anyway, it was a nice.
Yeah. It was kind of cute, kind of sketch.
Yeah.
So Lauren was in the shower first because we took, like, when we come back from the beach, obviously somebody has to wait. So I was like, you can shower first this time, I'll wait. So I was kind of like hanging out my towel on the deck on the outside, and I looked on one of the cars, and I was like, what am I looking at? And I just see a row of what kind of looked like golden bumps. Upon further inspection, there were like 6 or 7 bananas lined up sitting on top of someone's vehicle, so burnt looking that I'm like, how are they not oozing all over the vehicle?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wait, I was so confused, because I'm like, if you're like making banana bread or something, you're not doing that in the Dry Dock Inn, because you don't have the supplies for that. So I'm like, who is putting who's burning bananas on top of their car?
Yeah.
And for me, I don't know if everyone else feels this way, but that was just so shocking to me to see that. So I just went in, and Lauren was in the shower. I was like, Lauren, I have something to show you, but I can't tell you anything.
And so I'm just like, you have to give me some. She's like, no.
It is a scary statement.
And I was just like, what on earth? So I'm like hurrying to get done, and I rush out there, and she's like, takes me outside, and she's like, do you see what's on that car over there? Like, you notice anything? And I went, are those indeed bananas?
They were.
And they were. And so it kind of just became this game, because all of a sudden we got back from dinner that night, and we're like, they're still there.
Because, like I said, the first time I saw the bananas, they looked well done. If you're ordering your bananas, that's as well done as you're going to take them.
Mm-hmm.
Well or doneer, if you will.
Yeah.
But they continued to be there. Every time we'd go to dinner, we'd come back from the beach. Every time we left and came back, we'd check up on the bananas. And
I think it was over 48 hours that those bananas lay there.
It was a long time.
In the sun.
One of the times, we happened to...
Of course. We would comment on the bananas every time. We passed them, because how can you not?
So, one time, we're checking on the bananas, and one of us just said, oh, the bananas are still there. And all of a sudden, the one lady outside on the second floor, she's like leaning over the railing and just goes, well, that's because they're not done yet.
A little defensive there.
What are the odds that the one lady outside happens to be, she had to have been the banana lady.
She's like,
they're not ripe yet.
And we're like,
and I was like, oh yeah, we were just, I didn't even remember what I said because I just panicked. I was
we weren't gonna try to argue with her.
Yeah, no, I was just so embarrassed because I didn't mean to she just was the banana lady was very defensive about the bananas. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh yeah, we were just commenting on it or something. I don't even remember what I said. But I just the odds that the lady outside just happened to be the banana lady is just wild. And I think we were more careful how we spoke about the bananas.
Definitely. And they did disappear soon after. So I think that maybe she got a little self-conscious about what people were thinking about her bananas.
Probably, as she should.
Not
to banana shame anyone, but that was just too much.
Okay, up next we have, I think, what was probably
one of the best.
There's two stories from this trip that are out of this world wild. Yeah. And I hope I'm not building them up too much, but they were insane. And we're gonna get into them. Okay, so the first one was, it was our last night there. Mm-hmm. And we were like, let's just go to dinner. There was this rooftop restaurant that we had been to before, and we're like, let's just go back. That was really nice. We can watch the sunset. Afterwards, we'll go get some ice cream, and then we're gonna go to the beach and just kind of have our last little farewell to our trip. So we go to dinner and we order our food and we're just chatting when all of a sudden, that was also where Kayla accidentally announced that she's a big hooker. But what she meant by that was,
we were just having a conversation about the ways girls cover their mouth when they're eating. So there's the hand and the fist. And I just was like, yep, so I'm a big hooker. And I am, but I didn't mean it like that. However, neither of us processed that I said that.
A minute.
And then a minute later, I just grabbed her arm and I was like, Lauren! I just outright said I'm a hooker in a restaurant, not at all realizing what I said. Yeah. So take that as you will.
But anyway, so, just having casual conversations like that.
As we do.
When all of a sudden, a group of girls enter the restaurant. And when I say girls, I do mean 40-year-old women, and they come in and you could just tell it was a bachelorette party. They were loud and they were proud.
Yes.
And they walk in, they sit down, and they are a couple tables away. So it's our table, then there was this family, and then it was the girls. So we just continue our meal when all of a sudden the volume level just rises so noticeably. And I look over and there is they got their phones out, they're recording, they're cheersing their drinks, and they're whoop, whoop, And I noticed the bride, and Kayla beautifully words what we saw her doing, and that was
she Little Mermaided herself on the table, just propelled herself up there.
Yeah, when the Little Mermaid has her moment on the rock, and the waves are parting. She was doing that on the restaurant table. And so I was like, oh, that's strange. And then something caught my eye, and that was that between us, that family I was talking about, I noticed that the girls were beckoning someone over. And who they were beckoning was the older man at that table between us. And I was like, oh, so they're calling him over, and he's going, he's accepting the invitation, and he walks over, and it was when you want to look away, but you cannot look away.
Yeah.
And he's not full on slapping, but jiggling the bride's butt. And I was like, oh, okay. Anyway, so that all finishes up and he returns to his table. And so I kind of was about to look away when I was like, wait a second. And it gets so much worse in the fact that he was walking back to his table where his wife, daughter, and grandbaby were sitting. And what I would expect out of the situation would be horror. You would think there would be a fight, the wife getting what are you thinking? What are you thinking?
For sure.
They were
cheering him on.
They were cheering him on.
Yeah.
They were go you know? And I was like, whoa, that's so strange. What? And so as the night continued on, the family like just joined in this bachelorette party. The daughter was going over, taking drinks with her baby attached to her, crying. And I'm like, the poor child. And so Kayla goes to the bathroom, and now this leaves me an even bigger window of like seeing, hearing.
I would also like to quick throw in that I don't know if it was a good or a bad thing that I was facing the other direction, so all of this was happening behind me.
I was just narrating what was happening.
I didn't see a ton of it because I didn't want to, be nosy. I did consider switching table spots, but I thought that'd be too much. So I mostly just got my updates through Lauren watching the horror on her face.
Yeah. So after she leaves, 2 more women arrive, and they're like, well, you got to meet and greet with the family.
Yeah.
So they're over there chatting with the couple, and I hear the dad be like, oh, so how do you know the bride? And the one woman, she starts talking, but she kind of like trips up on our words. And I'm like, that was kind of a weird way to like, she's trying to express somehow that she was the bride's friend, but it's just kind of odd. But she did expand and explain that it was her ex-husband who is marrying the bride, and she's a bridesmaid in their wedding. And I was like, that is so, wow, I guess way to be the bigger person there. Mm-hmm. But I was like snapping Kayla. I'm like, the drama's really unfolding.
That's insane. I just can't imagine going to, you said ex-husband? Yeah. Going to your ex-husband's wedding and being a part of the wedding party as a bridesmaid because you're friends with the bride.
And what I'm so curious is like, did she, like, were the girls already friends, or did like was she still just kind of in touch with her ex-husband and became friends through that? Like, I would love to know.
I'm not sure.
But anyway, yeah. And then after that, there was like the bride was like talking to this dad at the restaurant who had like a baby, and she was asking to hold the baby, and the dad looked concerned but still handed off the baby. And I'm like, sorry, I don't know how long you've been here, but you didn't need to be here long to see this behavior. Yeah. And then he looked so uncomfortable. Now there's 2 babies crying, and it was time to go.
Yeah, I felt so sad. I was like, I need to take one of these babies and just comfort them because clearly nobody else cares.
Yeah. Anyway, so we quickly finished our meal, and we're like, we need to get out of here because this is a bit much for us.
Yeah, it was.
All right. So we finish up our meal. We get our ice cream. We're like, let's just go to the beach now. Have our final little sunset moment.
Can I say, it was such a lovely time. And it was also like, I don't think it really hit us till that point that like, this is the last time we'll walk on this beach and watch, the beautiful sunset and like just really have this moment of peace, because we go home tomorrow morning, very early tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, it was a really sweet moment, but it was also like, it was bittersweet. Gotta be honest, I had a tear running down my face. It was just quite a moment for us.
It was.
Finally, we pack up, we start walking off the beach back to the hotel. We're walking on a sidewalk that is a pretty skinny sidewalk to begin with. And as we're walking, we see a little commotion happening. And there's 2 people that are just like fighting and yelling at each other. And I'm like, oh, like this is a bit going on. So we cross the street so that we're not walking into that. And then as we cross the street, we notice there's now a 3rd person entering. Yes. So there are 2 ladies going at each other, and there's like a guy that's in the middle trying to break them up, and it's like a
we could not hear what was going on. Like everything, it just sounded like they were just swearing at each other.
There was just a lot of full level screaming.
But I'm like, I would love to know what the fight was about, because you have 2 girls and a guy, and I'm like, I just wonder what kind of triangle was going on.
It has to be so good, but it's once again not our place to know.
But we're like, we really don't know where this is going. We need to really get out of here, But as we're walking, we're still like, we want to see what, so we're almost walking backwards at this point, because like there was a group gathering across the street. There was actually this was happening right in front of a house, and there was an old man just sitting on his rocking chair in his front yard, just
literally right in front of him. This fight is happening. He's just rocking away. It's like, listen, if entertainment is provided, why not take advantage?
And just like kind of a casual side.
Yeah, he didn't seem at all worried about it. He was just, observing. So as we're walking away, I just hear one of the girls yell, "I'm gonna slap you!" And then we just hear like and I turn around, and it is now a full-on physical brawl. There are 3, they're like falling to the ground, throwing. I just see arms being thrown, and I'm like, what is happening right now? Like, I've experienced my fair amount of like high school fights of like teenagers that get all, angsty, but like I've never seen full grown adults having a full like physical street fight. It was like, it was so scary and thrilling.
Yeah. And we get to like the stoplight, and we're about to cross the other street, to turn the corner. So it's like one last look, like, and I kid you not, I see them all get back into the same car and pull out to drive away, and I was like, there is no way that car is making it back
there's
home.
no way
Like,
they're all making it safely.
That's wild.
Yeah, so that was just really, like, very exciting. My heart was racing a little. We've just never experienced a street fight like that, and it was like, part of me feels like it ruined the moment a little because we were so at peace, but the other part of me is like, that also just like sealed the deal. Like, that just made the moment so good. It's it was really, we're not going to forget that.
So much to take in that night.
Yeah.
So the last story we're going to share from our trip was, I don't remember, I think it was our second night of the trip. We had gotten back, it was probably like 11 o'clock.
Yeah,
so
it was pretty late.
It was getting late. And we opened the door up, and all of a sudden I just stopped dead in my tracks, and I'm like, Kayla, what is going on? We open the door to find flashing disco lights, basically. Disco lights going on underneath our like bedside tables. Like they were like the LED strips. They were just going crazy.
Which we'd never seen any lights on prior to that. So we didn't leave them on before we left.
We couldn't find a switch even for them. It was like they were like plugged in. And I'm like, Kayla, those were certainly not on when we left our room. And they are certainly on now. And I was like horrified. I was like, what does this mean? Like, did someone break into our room?
Listen, it was terrifying. And I'm not gonna lie, I was scared because obviously they weren't done before. They are now. What does that mean? Because they didn't magically turn on. So that probably means that someone was in our room.
We did like check. I mean, there wasn't a lot to check, but we did check. There was no one there. We did not notice anything missing. So I was like, Kayla, they probably like planted cameras and were like on the dark web somewhere.
And here's the thing though, is a lot of people were like, okay, then why didn't you go just get a new room or go? But the place we were at was like small enough that they closed in the evening. It wasn't like a 24-hour service. Yeah. So we couldn't have called the place we were at to say, hey, we need a new room, or hey, like we feel unsafe, we don't know what's going on, because they were closed. So we had till the next morning. So we just had to stay in that room. We had to make it work. So my thought process is, well, we still have to sleep here tonight. You know, like we still have to be able to fall asleep and stay here. Mm-hmm. So let's just pretend. Mm-hmm. No biggie.
Yeah.
How did those get on? Like, I don't know. So I was just trying to play it cool, play it down, and just be like, it's not a big deal. Sometimes lights turn on randomly, Lauren. And she was fully like, or someone's has access to our room and is gonna murder us tonight, or someone's just like under the bed, or there's cameras planted everywhere and I'm like, girl, not what I need to fall asleep at all. Not at all what I needed.
Yeah, and so I couldn't I was like, I'm gonna text my friend and be like, so I'm like, I can't text my family, that would freak them out too much.
For sure.
But I'm like, I'm just gonna text my friend and be like, so if you don't hear from me by tomorrow morning, please send the police. We're staying here.
Which, can I just say, imagine getting that text from someone. That's terrifying.
Well, I did explain the whole situation to her, and she was like, okay. Like, she didn't seem too, concerned. But I was like, at least someone will send for help.
Yeah.
We did wake up the next day.
We did.
Yeah. So anyway, we made it out alive.
And if that was only our second night, which I'm pretty sure you are correct in that being our second night, we did spend another night there. And it actually never occurred to us by the time we woke up and just went about our lives to, like, ask for a new room.
Yeah.
So we just, like, continued on.
We're like, well, if it didn't happen tonight,
then we're probably in the clear.
But yeah, we survived and we thrived.
Did you unplug the lights? Because I'm like, the lights weren't on for the rest of the time we were there.
I think I did.
You must have, because I don't know how else they got turned off. But I don't remember lights besides that one night we opened the door to the room.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we were fine. We're alive, you know.
We are.
We survived. We thrived.
We did. Yeah. So anyway, thanks for tuning in and listening to us reliving just some of our best moments.
So fun.
From the trip.
Yeah. With that, we'll see you next time.